Roy Nelson, Big Country, gonna be fighting Game Bred Bare Knuckle MMA against Alan Belcher, the inaugural Game Bred Bare Knuckle MMA Championship. So, tell me about your career. You took 3 years off before coming back to fighting bare knuckle MMA. What happened between those 3 years? Were you done with fighting, or what was the process to come back and do Game Bare Knuckle MMA
You
again?
know, I wasn't like done. The only thing is I was just doing my bucket list stuff. I was actually waiting for the Fedor fight. So I had we were in talks with doing the Fedor fight, and then all of a sudden the Ukraine, that war, then it got pushed out a little bit more. And then they were talking. I'm like, yeah, maybe. And then we pushed it out a little bit more. And then the next thing you know, then I'm like, okay, cool. We're ready to fight. And then all of a sudden, oh yeah, he's fighting, Ryan for the belt. So that could be his last fight. So I was like, oh. So it was just one of those things. Like I was just trying to do bucket list stuff and just trying to get, the things I want to do.
So now you're coming back again. So I guess it went well the first time around. You knocked out Dylan Sheckler first round, I believe, and now you're coming back again to face Alan Belcher. Is this something that you want to keep doing?
Yeah, anytime anybody dangles a carrot, in front of me, like for like a championship or a fight to do a rematch or something like that, then I'm like, I'm excited because anytime I can fight like JDS again, that's cool. But the fact that I can fight Alan Belcher, who's the BKFC champ, like I'm like, cool, let's do it.
Tell me about Alan Belcher because he took some time off as well. He retired, then he came back and he's bulked up. He's big as hell now. He was a middleweight in the UFC. Now he's big. He knocked out a bunch of people in BKFC and boxing. I think he had a knockout. But he's known to be a well-rounded fighter, right? This is an MMA fight, bare knuckle MMA fight. He's a well-rounded fighter. What do you see in Alan Belcher? How do you match up with him?
I think Alan's definitely he's improved, got bigger, more powerful. He hasn't lost in 5 years, with bare knuckle in boxing. So I think for him, he's definitely gotten more power than before. So I think that's the one thing is you definitely have to worry about his power. Plus, but he also still moves as a little middleweight. So like even if he's a heavyweight, he still moves like a little weight by bobbing and weaving and in and out.
So this is a bare knuckle MMA. You're an MMA veteran. You've been doing this for a long time. What's the difference? I mean, what's the difference between training for bare knuckle MMA and regular MMA? Would you say?
The biggest difference is just working conditioning your hands, for hitting something harder. And then besides that is grappling's a little bit different because you don't have big gloves. So you tend to now you grapple without gloves on.
So you
So
say
it's
that,
like old school grappling.
yeah. So you say you wanted to do some bucket list stuff. So bare knuckle MMA is obviously one of those things. What other bucket list stuff do you have to do?
My biggest thing for bucket list is boxing. That's like one, like just for combat sports is just to go, like I went been in a ring, with Mike Tyson, or I've been in the ring with so and so, or whoever, just so that you can go. I've done combat sports, like I've done it all from MMA, from the wrestling, grappling, the whole 9 yards, and then all the way to where we limit to just boxing.
Have you talked to Jorge about boxing? Because he also has a boxing promotion as well. Have you talked to him
That's
about it?
exact that's the reason. That's how I got roped into this bare knuckle stuff. I called him for the boxing, and he's like, "Hey, by the way, do you want to do?" And I'm like, "Not really," but he's like, "But if you do it, I'll get you into the boxing." Okay, let's do it. So it's the ends to the means.
Yeah. Talking about boxing, MMA guys turning to boxing. Francis Ngannou is about to fight Tyson Fury. What are your thoughts about him leaving the UFC and doing his boxing thing now and fighting Tyson Fury?
The one thing about that everybody will hate on him, like, oh, you can't do this. But the thing is, at the end of the day, we're prize fighters. And if he's gonna make, 8 figures, fighting, he wouldn't even do that in the UFC until he fights 20 times. So like to get that number just in one fight, it's a 20x. I mean, if he's watching Grant Cardone or whatever, he's like, I 10x that.
I do want to ask, you fought in Bellator for a long time. It seems like Bellator is going to have their last event, and then they're probably going to fold. Showtime is leaving Bellator. They're leaving combat sports and sports. What are your thoughts, memories from Bellator? Any thoughts on that, on them closing and on that front?
You know what? I think they're just looking for some type of different content, So I don't. It's because the Bellator product is, it's always good, because there's some good fighters that are in Bellator. It's just they just don't know how to I guess use their whole media collaborate, like from MTV to to Showtime to whatever it is. They just don't, or CMT, like they knew how they could use their media reach, but they just didn't use it. They're just using it straight content. Why? Because YouTube's beating them.
Another thing, JDS fought recently. He fought against Fabricio Verdum. The winner of that fight is supposed to fight the winner of this fight. What did you see? Did you see that fight, and what did you think of it? I know you fought JDS before. Would you like that fight again against JDS?
Yeah, no. Anytime you can try to redeem yourself against another fighter is good. It was one of those things you can definitely see, like even with my last fight, is where you can see the kind of maneuvering through the bare knuckle, because it's not the same as regular MMA with like MMA gloves, because your range is off, or your distance or your timing's off, because you're just trying to not get hit, because bare knuckle hurts a little bit more than without the gloves.
All right, so bare knuckle has seen this resurgence. BKFC, bare knuckle boxing has taken off. Now it seems like people are interested in bare knuckle MMA. What is it about bare knuckle that you think attracts people to tune in and watch?
I think it's like a Pepsi and Coke product, like you're like, oh, I like the taste of this. The way I like it is bare knuckle MMA is basically it's UFC back to being raw again, like where you throw in tournaments and you throw in like anything kind of goes. Like I mean, if Mark Coleman comes back, we're gonna have headbutts back, where you're like, oh yeah, put me in guard, I dare you, put me in guard, I'll headbutt the crap out of you.
All right, so November 10th, Alan Belcher, Roy Nelson, Biloxi, Mississippi, live for free, Gamebred FC, YouTube MMA. What can people expect from Roy Nelson on that night?
I think the biggest thing that fans can always expect is a good show.